In your book, you mentioned that according to researchers from Harvard Business School and McKinsey, 65% of startups fail because of people issues and not because of flawed technology, misguided product, lack of cash. And the vast majority fail because they can't figure out how to get the right team on board and then working well together. And then, of course, removing team members that are basically causing harm to the culture. Why do you think we seem to be trained to hide the complicated reality of this human collaboration and all the issues that are happening under the hood?
It's because it's painful. It's not something that's easy to admit to. It again, this whole idea of like this should be easy stuff, right? The people stuff should be easy stuff. And if I'm not kind of getting it right, then there must be something dysfunctional about my team, myself. We talk quite a bit in the book as well around the brag culture that we've seen in almost every startup ecosystem in the world that we've done this, these workshops at. And the challenge about this brag culture is everywhere you go, it seems like everyone is doing really well. Like we've expanded to new markets, we've raised this amount of cash, we've hired these many employees. And psychologists have this thing called pluralistic ignorance, which is when people behave a certain way because they know what others are expecting around them. And if, let's say, I come into a startup gathering and everyone feels they need to talk about their latest achievements, and I do the same and everyone does the same, privately, I know that I am not particularly like crushing it in my role, but I perceive that everyone is. And so I come home every day thinking, oh, I might, it might just be me. And I think some of that brag culture also mutes out a lot of the willingness to talk about some of the hardest challenges of the journey.
Yeah, and I'd add that it's just, and Martin touched on this, but it's just so much more personal, right? Like a startup journey, a lot of the brag culture is around product and performance and funds raised. And all these are kind of like outside yourself, just as a person. And when you get into a lot of these interpersonal issues, the people stuff, you have to really think about yourself. Like how am I communicating to those around me? Am I ineffective at how I am expressing myself? Am I able to handle this tough feedback? And it's much more personal, and it's the harder thing to look at, right? It's much easier to discuss and share things outside yourself. So, we go in the book, and I'm sure we'll get to this, but a lot of what we do in the workshop is sort of peeling these layers back. The workshop that we recommend in the book is peeling these vulnerability layers back and getting to a place where people can share things about themselves. And because it's on a day-to-day basis, when it's straight business, it's not commonplace.
Very true. Another thing that is going on there is people just under so much pressure. And also
Yes.
this combined with the fact that in our mind, soft things are not as important. So people
Yeah.
leave all this, we think, oh, we'll just put it under the rug and deal with it later on. We just need to survive this. We just need to not run out of cash. We just need to hire this person because we have this big gap in skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're always important, but they're rarely as urgent as some of these more sort of, like we've been saying, hard or business oriented problems. But yeah, we make the case in the book that it's very important, sometimes doesn't feel urgent, but if you keep putting it off, you're going to have an insurmountable problem that actually, will put away 65% of all startups, which is people-oriented sort of issues.